I'm Andrew Dempster. I'm the Director of the Australian Centre for Space Engineering Research here at the University of New South Wales. I think one of the ones that I'm most passionate about is the requirement for Australia to have somewhere for our clever graduates to go, people who are studying space topics at university. It's just best that I think it's best that they remain in Australia rather than travel overseas to pursue their careers. I think that really Australia needs to be responsible for its own space assets and for its own use of space. And so the whole thing about responsibility, not being a freeloader, and showing that we're capable of making up our own mind about what we need and solving our own problems. Now, if you look at the history of anything, if you look at the history of Australia, for instance, it was discovered, if you like, by Western civilizations when people were doing exploration, like someone like Abel Tasman. It was also discovered by Captain Cook, who was doing science. He was going to come to the Pacific to look at the transit of Venus. So those two things happen in space as well. So there's the early stage that NASA's involved with, which is exploration, and there's a lot of stuff in space doing science. Then if people are to follow those early missions, then somehow we've got to think about how we might make money from space. So one of the things we're looking at in terms of running business in space is off-Earth mining. So mining asteroids, mining the moon, and then using some of the materials that you mine in space. So rather than find an ore body in space, bring back the resources to Earth, the idea is that you would use them. Now, a litre of water on Earth is not worth very much. A litre of water in space is worth about $20,000 because that's how much it costs to get you there. So if you can mine a litre of water from the moon, for instance, then that water's worth, if you can do it for less than $20,000, you've made, you're ahead. Yeah, I think that this is actually more of a social issue than anything else. Again, I think the technology isn't going to be the problem, developing the technology to do the space exploration and the colonization of space. If it is possible to get some traction for some of these ideas like off-Earth mining, which would allow you then to start building colonies in space and for those colonies to start to become economically viable, whether there's going to be the commitment from terrestrial countries to the ongoing commitment in space, to keep sending people, and the idea of getting people out there. Because again, if you come back to the analogy of the Europeans when they went out and tried to settle other areas of the world, these expeditions that they sent out were quite expensive, and they were able to bring resources back like gold from South America or whatever. When the explorers went to other countries, they were able to get a direct economic return. I think in order for people to become committed or to remain committed to exploring space, that economic return is going to happen relatively quickly. So I think it is very dependent on some of these social issues. And again, as I said, I don't think the technology is going to hold us back.